happenings around you, and to make that easy for you, ladies and gentlemen, we present Freshlight, where we bring fresh newspaper headlines to the limelight. Mondays to Saturdays, 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Watch, like, subscribe, and make sure your notification is activated on our YouTube channel. You can also like and comment on our pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Al-Iyamoye TV and radio.
It is a wet Tuesday morning from the side, the 12th day in the month of September 2023. Don't know really if it is a wet or dry Tuesday on the other side while you're watching this show this morning. Good morning to you, and of course it is a beautiful day on Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio, where we take you through some of the headlines and stories in our different newspapers and our dailies, of course, this morning. My name is Modupe Akinyosoye. Without further ado, let's kick start with a couple of newspapers I have with me this morning. I have the Daily Trust, I have the Nation newspaper, I have the Vanguard newspaper, and of course the Punch newspaper. We kick start the review and get to see what we have on the front page of the Nation newspaper. From the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning, you get to see mixed fortunes for APC, PDP, and Labour at tribunals. You get that with a couple of riders, that on page 4 in the Nation newspaper. Away from that, accounting icon Akintola Williams dies at 104. You get that? So with a rider, leaders, governors, other pay tribute. That on page 5 in the Nation newspaper. And also from the front page of the Nation, Zenith Bank makes 967 billion half-year gross earnings. That business report on page 7 in the Nation newspaper. Federal varsities to get full financial autonomy, with a rider education to take budget 25%. That on page 5 in the Nation. Away from that, Edo relocates Shaibu's office outside Government House. Page 5 captures the details. Row between Ogun government and Daniel over Plaza deepened. Page 6 has the details of that very story. Away from that, we also have from the front page of the Nation, United Arab Emirates lifts visa restriction on Nigerian travelers, with a rider, Etihad and Emirates flights to resume. That you get on page 4 in the Nation. And also on palliatives, Borno Sokoto give out 140 vehicles and others. Page 3 captures that very story. Also, we have a Metro headline on the front page of the Nation, 11 feared killed in Plateau. Page 27 captures that rather sad story. Devastating storm kills 150 in Libya. That unfortunate incident also on page 3 in the Nation newspaper. Quickly going through the pages of the Nation newspaper, let's get to see some of the stories from there. We'll start with this very report. Mixed fortunes for APC, PDP, Labour as tribunals, with several riders. Landlong wins senatorial seats. Labour Party representative sacked in Abia. APC, PDP representative axed in Delta. Plateau governor triumphs. The All Progressives Congress, APC, People's Democratic Party, PDP, and Labour Party are counting their gains and losses at the governorship and legislative tribunals in state. The National Assembly Election Petition Tribunal, sitting in Jos yesterday, declared Simon Lalong as the duly elected senator to represent Plateau South Senatorial District. Lalong, former governor of Plateau and Minister of Labour and Employment, ran at the platform of the APC. In Abia State, the tribunal sitting in Umuahia, the state capital, declared the election of Labour Party's Monachim Aloze invalid. It was declared winner of Obingwa Osisioma Ungwonagbo Federal Constituency, and also the tribunal in Asaba, capital of Delta State, nullified the election of the member representing Ugeli Udu Federal Constituency at the House of Representatives, the Reverend Francis Wave. It ran on APC ticket. And in Plateau State, the tribunal sitting in Jos, the state capital, dismissed the petition filed by Alfred Dabwan of the New Nigerian People's Party against Governor Caleb Mutfwang of the PDP. You get the rest of that very report in the Nation newspaper with the headline "Mixed Fortunes for APC, PDP and Labour at Tribunals." Away from that very story, we also have an update. United Arab Emirates lifts visa restriction on Nigerians with a rider Etihad Emirate flight to resume. President Bola Tinubu yesterday secured the immediate lifting of the ban placed on Nigerian travelers by the United Arab Emirates, UAE. Presidential spokesman Ajuri Ngelale, who made this known, added that Emirates and Etihad Airlines would resume inbound and outbound flights in Nigeria without any further delay. Ngelale said in a statement that these were agreed during the discussions between Tinubu and his UAE counterpart, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, in Abu Dhabi. He added that the UAE government also agreed to bring investments worth billions of dollars into the Nigerian economy. From the Nation, United Arab Emirates lifts visa restriction on Nigeria. Away from that, we also have a report from the Nation that says PANDEF, INC, FNM and others to Tinubu act on NDDC forensic audit report. This comes with a rider that says no justification shielding people who plundered NDDC. Stakeholders in the Niger Delta have asked President Bola Tinubu to act on the forensic audit report of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. The stakeholders, Pan Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF, Ijaw National Congress, INC, Future Nigeria Movement, FNM, and others, said those who plundered the Commonwealth of their region should not be shielded. And according to them, it would amount to an act of injustice and a waste of billions of naira used in conducting the audit without bringing those indicted to justice. And former President Muhammadu Buhari ordered the audits of the Commission from 2001 to 2019. And in 2021, the report of the investigation was submitted by Senate President Godswill Akpabio, who was then Niger Delta Affairs Minister, and no action was actually taken on the report till the former president ended his tenure on May 29. PANDEF, INC, FNM, others to Tinubu act on NDDC forensic audit report. The Nation captures the story. And also we have this very story from The Nation that says federal varsities to get full financial autonomy with a rider education budget to be 25%. The federal government is mulling new creative means of funding tertiary education in the country. Education Minister Tahir Maman has said. One of the means Maman hinted at the ongoing Nigeria's annual education conference in Abuja would be full autonomy for universities. And he also said that President Bola Tinubu, who has already expressed commitment to raise the education budget to 25%, directed the return of the 10.5 million out-of-school children to school at the expiration of his tenure. Federal varsities to get full financial autonomy from The Nation. Quickly moving away from The Nation, let's see what we have in the Vanguard newspaper. Get to see a couple of headlines on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. All right, this morning you get to see federalism at grassroots. 17 states run 323 local government areas with caretaker committees. This comes with multiple riders. And page 5 has the details of that very story. Away from that, also from the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, Zenith Bank's gross earnings jump 139% to 967.3 billion naira in the fourth quarter of 2023. You get that on page 8 in the Vanguard newspaper. Away from that, from the Vanguard as well, expelling Wike from PDP, a task that must be done. Atiku's camp revealing that on page 9 in the Vanguard. On funding, federal government will grant varsities full autonomy, says Minister. Page 9 also capturing that very story. UBA Foundation launches 2023 National Essay Competition. Page 8 has the details. Doyen of Accountant Akintola Williams dies at 104. Page 7 has the very uncheering story. Away from that, on brain drain, some deaths in teaching hospitals shutting down. MD Khan raises alarm on page 13 in the Vanguard newspaper. And also we have forensic rescuers join Morocco quake, raise as death toll hits 2,862. That on page 8 in the Vanguard. Federal government won't reintroduce new taxes. Presidential committee revealing that on page 6 in the Vanguard newspaper. And also we have this headline also resurfacing on the front page of the Vanguard. United Arab Emirates lifts visa ban on Nigeria. Emirates Etihad to resume flight operations. Page 9 has the details, and of course you get to see the picture of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu yesterday met with the President of the United Arab Emirates Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan in Abu Dhabi and secured a deal which led to immediate removal of the visa ban placed on Nigerian travelers. And also a sport headline from the front page of the Vanguard. Indeed, the Sure Eagles will qualify for 2026 World Cup. Page 31 captures that sports story. And quickly going through the Vanguard newspaper, let's get to see some of the stories read in the Vanguard newspaper. All right, we start with federalism at grassroots. 17 states run 323 local government areas with caretaker committees. As Nigeria struggles to deepen our democracy, no fewer than 17 state governments are running their local councils with transition or caretaker committees. Currently, 323, that's 41.73% of the 774 local councils are without elected chairmen and councillors. And this is contrary to Section 7 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, which guarantees the system of local government by democratically elected officials. The rest of that report in the Vanguard. Federalism at grassroots. 17 states run 323 local government areas with caretaker committees. Away from that, we also have on Japa syndromes. Department in teaching hospitals shutting down MD Khan. The Medical and Dental Consultant Association of Nigeria, MD Khan, has raised the alarm over the consequences of brain drain in the nation's health institutions, saying some departments in the teaching hospitals are shutting down due to the high rate of brain drain. That's JAPA. Newly elected president of the association, Professor Mohammed, who disclosed this while briefing newsmen at the end of MD Khan's 13th biennial delegates meeting and scientific conference in Kano, lamented that no fewer than 500 specialist doctors with specialty in teaching had migrated. And according to Professor Mohammed, the survey we conducted some 2 years ago shows that about 500 specialist doctors have left Nigeria. Japa syndrome, departments in teaching hospitals shutting down, says MD Khan from the Vanguard. Away from that, we also have the story on malnutrition from the Vanguard newspaper. Nigeria needs 3 billion naira to save 3 million children. With double riders, only 11K per child does the magic. UNICEF calls for improved nutrition budget, says prevention cheaper than treatment. In Nigeria, children often face abuse and exploitation in childhood due to lack of access to good nutrition and health. Kabiru, a child born with or faced insecurity and poverty from birth. Despite being expected to be healthy and strong, Kabiru's growing body and brain required all the necessary nutrients, highlighting the need for better nutrition and health access on children like Kabiru. The rest of that very report in the Vanguard. On malnutrition, Nigeria needs 3 billion naira to save 3 million children. Away from that, we also have from the Vanguard on the foreign on the foreign scene. Foreign rescuers join Morocco quake raise as a death toll each 2,862. This comes with double riders that says Buhari is saddened over tragedy. France refutes Morocco snub over aid offer. At least 2,862 people were killed in the strongest ever earthquake to hit Morocco, the Interior Ministry said on Monday, revising an earlier toll of nearly 2,700 dead. Another 2,562 people were injured, the ministry said, with rescue workers now facing a race against time to find survivors. Moroccan rescuers, supported by newly arrived foreign teams, yesterday faced an intensifying race against time to dig out any survivors from the rubble of mountain villages on the third day after the country's strongest ever earthquake. And in the disaster-stricken community of Talat, Yaku, 12 ambulances and several dozens 4x4 from the army and police were deployed, while around 100 Moroccan rescuers were searching for signs of life amid the collapsed buildings. From the Vanguard, foreign rescuers joined Morocco quake race as death toll hits 2,862. All right, we'll be back for more headlines and stories after this short commercial break. Still Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Stay with us.
Thousands have been disappointed severally in their bid to seek greener pasture abroad. To those quack in the traveling agency business, it is a rocket science. That is not our case at Tausaf Travels and Tour. We have in-depth details on how to successfully, without stress, help you process and secure your visa to anywhere in the world. Do you want permanent residential visa, visiting and tourism visa, student visa to places like Europe, America, Asia, Africa? It's no big deal to us at Tausaf Travels and Tour. Our years of experience and expertise speaks volume for us. Let's process and secure visa for you to UK, USA, and Canada within a twinkle of an eye. We offer Hajj and Umrah services to our Muslim faithfuls. What are you waiting for? Consult us at number 9 Tausaf Central Mosque, Sholanke Street, behind Laroy Hotel, Abiola Way, Abeokuta. 0802 733 0900 or 0806 578 4060. Stop wasting money. Pay for peace of mind. Talk to Tausaf Travels and Tour.
Gbogbo aláfẹ́ tó gbayì tó fẹ́ wọṣọ yìí ṣoge tó bágbàmú ló ń kọjá lọ sí House of Zayana. House of Zayana, the name I know when we talk of top-notch fashion, quality materials and class. House of Zayana, lẹ́tí máa rójúlówó Turkey wears, Egypt and Malaysia clothing, Dubai, àwọn designer bags lóríṣiríṣi, àwọn ìtẹ̀lẹ̀ bàtà tó jiná tí wọ́n fawọ́ original ṣe, àwọn aago kájọ́ tó ń ka wákàtí ọjọ́, designer sunglasses and perfumes, pẹ̀lú àwọn gbogbo nǹkan tóbìnrin àsìkò fi ń gbafẹ́ lò gbà. Mo débẹ̀, ojú mi ń ṣe kámi, èmi ni ó rà, èmi ni ó mú. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin mùsùlùmí ẹlẹ́sìn tẹ́ gbòógì gbọ́n pa fashion tẹ́ wá nílò jàlábíà, hijab àti àbáyà lóríṣiríṣi. House of Zayana lẹ́ ò ti rí gbogbo ẹ̀ rà. House of Zayana wà ní 52 Ọlọ́run ṣògo road adjacent Redeemed Church, Agape Parish, Ọlọ́run ṣògo Abẹ́òkúta. Lórí Instagram House of Zayana 08165688618. House of Zayana, ilé ìtajà tá a ti ń tojúlówó aṣọ àti nǹkan aṣaralóge tí ń gbéni níyì.
You're still on to Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio, and still going through some of the stories in our dailies this morning. All right, we pick up the Daily Trust newspaper, and let's get to see what we have on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. We have flight businesses resume as Nigeria UAE resolve row. That comes with a rider. Experts who want Nigerian airlines. Page 4 captures that very story. And also you get to see Zulum 77 project in 100 days of second term in Borno State, and you get to see the picture of that right in on the front page rather of the Daily Trust newspaper. And also you get to see Government Day Secondary School Gamboru commissioned by Vice President Kashim Shettima on Friday. You also get to see that, and a couple of the riders right on the front page of the Daily Trust. Quickly going through the pages of the Daily Trust newspaper. Let's start with this very report. Administration of Criminal Justice Administration of Criminal Justice Act to be translated into Yoruba. The Administration of Criminal Justice Act, ACJA, is to be translated into Yoruba for the message to get to the grassroots and Yoruba-speaking communities in the country. And this was disclosed by the Executive Director, Clean Foundation, Mr. Gad Peter, during a two-day seminar held in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital. Represented by the program officer of Clean, Mrs. Chigozirim Okoro, the Executive Director said the project is coming after the successful translation of the Act into Hausa by civil society observatories in Jigawa State. And according to him, the whole essence of the project is to ensure that the innovative provisions of the ACJA Act are implemented in Kwara and Nigeria as a whole and complied with by duty bearers. From the Daily Trust, Administration of Criminal Justice Act to be translated into Yoruba. Away from that very report, we also have a story from the Gateway State. This says, "You and your wife not above the law." Governor Abiodun blasts Gbenga Daniel. Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun on Monday hit former Governor Gbenga Daniel and his wife Olufunke Hart over demolition of the Datcan Plaza in Ijebu-Ode, saying the couple is not above the law. Officials of the government on Sunday partially pulled down the five-story building plaza belonging to Olufunke Daniel, the wife of former governor popularly known as OGG. The government said it carried out the operation because the structure is illegal without an approved plan. But Mrs. Daniel tackled Abiodun over the demolition, describing the act as executive recklessness, lawlessness, and irresponsibility. However, the former First Lady, in a statement through her lawyer, slammed the governor over what she called illegality, saying she suffered unimaginable and huge losses due to the demolition. From the Daily Trust, "You and your wife not above the law," Governor Abiodun blasts Gbenga Daniel. Away from that blasting, we have this very story as well from the business page of the Daily Trust newspaper. "We want to introduce new taxes," says Oyedele, the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Tax Policy and Fiscal Reforms. Taiwo Oyedele said the committee has no plan to introduce new or impose higher taxes rate on Nigerians. Oyedele, who stated this yesterday in a post on his X, formerly Twitter account, while answering some frequently asked questions about the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, said the committee under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has strategized to only reduce the tax burden on Nigerians and business owners. The rest of that you get to see in the Daily Trust newspaper. "We won't introduce new taxes," says Oyedele. Away from the Daily Trust, let's get to see what we have in the Punch newspaper this morning before we call it a day. All right, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, let's see. Tinubu Special Investigator fault CBN audited report. This comes with double riders. Page 2 captures the details of that very story. Away from that, also from the front page of the Punch newspaper, operators excited as United Arab Emirates lifts visa ban on Nigerians. You have that on page 18 in the Punch newspaper. Morocco earthquake death toll rises to 2,700. Page 7 has that metro story. Penderson react as Dangote refinery misses production deadline. Page 17 has that very story. And away from that, also from the front page of the Punch, Obasanjo Governor's Mon as doyen of accounting Williams dies at 104. That rather sad one as well you get on page 3 and page 8 in the Punch newspaper. Corruption, biggest hindrance to Nigeria's democratic development. Global report revealing that on page 12 in the Punch. Court remand jealous lover for killing girlfriend. You have that on page 4 and 5 in the Punch newspaper. And also from the front page of the Punch newspaper, 2.9 billion naira fraud. Jonathan's godson and 2 others jailed 6 years. You have that on page 8 in the Punch newspaper. And of course, you get to see the picture of those that are actually giving tribute to the late Williams, who died at the age of 104. Of course, may he so rest in perfect peace. All right, quickly going through the Punch newspaper to give you a couple of the stories from the Punch. Let's start with let's start with this very story on Tinubu's special investigation. The report says Tinubu special investigator fought CBN audit report. The Central Bank of Nigeria may be asked to withdraw its audited annual financial reports, which were released last month, according to findings by the Punch. And this came after a team investigating the Apex Bank discovered discrepancies and irregularities in financial accounts. In August, the CBN released its financial accounts for the years 2016 to 2022 amid an ongoing probe of the financial services sector regulator by a special investigator appointed by President Bola Tinubu. And Tinubu had on July 28 appointed a former Chief Executive Officer of the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, Jim Obazi, a special investigator to probe the activities of the Apex Bank under its suspended governor, Godwin Obaseki. And aside from the CBN, the special investigator is also investigating the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, FRC, and other government business entities. From the Punch, Tinubu's special investigator fought CBN audited report. Away from that story, we have also a story. Federal government deletes 37 illegal loan apps. The number of delisted loan apps rose from 9 to 37, according to the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission's new report. The number of fully approved loan apps also grew to 164 from 154 as of its last update obtained by The Punch from its website on Monday. The number of loan apps with conditional approval declined to 38 from 40, and the number of apps on the Commission's watch list grew to 56 from 20. And this followed a sustained shake-up of the digital money lending space by the FCCPC after harassment of Nigerians by the lenders. And according to the Commission, the listed loan apps were permanently deleted by Google from Play Store. You get to see the number of the apps on in the Punch newspaper with the headline, Federal Government deletes 37 illegal loan apps. Away from that, we also have the story, Pengasan react as Dangote refinery misses production deadline. The 650,000 barrels per day Dangote refinery is yet to begin production after the August commencement date earlier announced by the president, Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, and while delivering a speech at the official commissioning of refinery by former President Muhammadu Buhari in May, he said, and I quote, "Your Excellency's distinguished guests and our first products will be in the market before the end of July or beginning of August this year." However, no drop of refined petroleum product from the refinery has hit the markets weeks after the promised production deadline, according to findings by The Punch. And spokesperson for the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Garbadin, in June said that the company would cut down its fuel import program in August once the Dangote refinery began to push out refined petroleum product latest August. From the Punch newspaper, Pengasan react as Dangote refinery misses production deadline. Away from that, we also have a presidential panel plans 83% cut in taxes and levies. The chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Mr. Taiwo Idele, has said Nigeria has over 60 different forms of taxes and levies. Many of the taxes, he added, made life unbearable for the poor in society. Idele spoke while featuring as a guest on the channel's television program Sunrise Daily, monitored by a correspondent of The Punch on Monday. He said his committee was working to reduce taxes and levies to less than 10, which would be a decrease of 83.33%. You get that other side of a story in the Punch newspaper. Presidential panel plans 83% cut in taxes and levies. And going through the sports pages of the Punch newspaper this morning, Awoniyi wins Nottingham Forest GOTM award. Super Eagles striker Taiwo Awoniyi has won the Player of the Month and Goal of the Month awards for the month of August at Nottingham Forest. The Punch reports that Awoniyi was among those shortlisted for the Premier League Player of the Month award for the month of August. The 25-year-old striker has scored 3 times, totaling 184 minutes in 4 games for Nottingham Forest this season, stretching his impressive scoring run from last term to 7 consecutive Premier League matches, the third African player to do so after Mohamed Salah and Sheyi Adebayo. And the winner you will face competition from West Ham's Jared Bowen, James Maddison of Tottenham Hotspur, Rodri, Manchester City, Brian Buemo, Brentford, and Kaoru Mitoma, Brighton and Hove Albion in the race for the gong. And when you win to Nottingham Forest GOTM award. And also picking the story from the sports page of the Punch newspaper. All right, let's get to see other story from the Punch newspaper, a sport story as well. All right, outcry over indefinite NPFL postponement. Nigerian football fans are fast losing hope about the start of the 2023-2024 Nigeria Premier Football League season following its indefinite postponement by the Nigeria Premier League Board last week, the Punch report. The NPFL looked set to start by August-September for the first time in about a decade, but the organizers have postponed the kickoff twice. After an initial 2-week shift and date from August 26, the NPFL was scheduled to kick off Saturday, September 9, but the resumption suffered another postponement due to what the league board tagged exigencies of sponsorship. And unlike the first postponements, which came with a defined period, a new date is yet to be announced by the board, casting a shadow over the eventual commencement of the season. From the Punch, outcry over indefinite NPFL postponement. The Punch newspaper punches that out from the sports pages. And of course, that'll be all in Freshlight this morning on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Do not forget to follow us on our social media platform, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Al-IyamoyeTv and radio, on the X app at Iyamoye_TV, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on the alarm button to get notification of our programs. And of course, you can always we can always advertise your product or your service right on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio to reach your target audience. I remain Modupe Akinyosoye. Good morning.